This you can throw in the garbage. Let me show you why. Of course, the circle of fifths, with regards to Western music, is an incredible tool. It has all the information you need to create songs, to create chords, to create progressions. But is this really the best way that we can view it and use it in 2024? I don't think so. Let me show you a better way. That better way is the circle of fifths dial. I designed this piece of hardware so that it mimicked exactly the circle of fifths, except it takes away the parts of the key that you're not interested in, and it adds a few other elements that the regular circle of fifths just can't do by design. You can see there's a whole bunch of information. We've got chords and minor keys and major keys. We've got chord formulas, and somewhere else on this thing we've got chord progressions, but I'd have to unfold it and that'll take too long. We'll get there later in the video. So what I'm going to do is just go through the circle of fifths dial and show you the major features of it, and the minor features, I guess, as well. If you're wondering, it has a stand. Of course, this is a perfect viewing angle for me, but it's not so good for the camera. So I'm going to pull it out of the stand, which makes it really easy to just chuck in your bag as it is. Nonetheless, I'm going to just go over the major components here. So, of course, we have the dial in the center. You can just turn it to whatever key you want. So how do you know what key you're in when you turn the dial? The outside numbers here, the Roman numerals, that is the major keys. The inside Roman numerals are the minor keys. So if I want to change this dial to C major, I simply turn the dial until the C lands underneath the uppercase Roman numeral 1. Now I'm in the C major key. Now if I want to turn the dial so that I'm in a minor or a particular minor key, I would turn the C until it turned to the lowercase Roman numeral 1. So I turn to here. Now I'm in the minor key. So let's go back to the major key for the moment, the C major. All of these chords are going to sound good together. As you can see, there's uppercase and lowercase Roman numerals. That depicts whether the chord is major or minor. So these C, F, and G chords in this key will all be major chords. D, A, and E are all minor chords in this key. Now, you're probably already noticing that you can have the relative minor found very easily. So the relative minor of the C major key is simply whatever letter lines up with the lowercase Roman numeral. So the relative minor of C major is A minor. And of course, as you know, all of the notes are the same in both those keys. When you have a relative major or minor key, the notes are all the same. So the other things on this dial are, there's a key window here. So in the key of C major or A minor, there are no sharps or flats, so 0. Let's turn the dial to G. In the key of G major or E minor, you have 1 sharp. That sharp is F sharp. And let's rotate the dial to A major or F sharp minor. You have 3 sharps, F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. So everything is laid out for you very easily. It's readily to be used, and you don't have to do, any thinking. Now, of course, after a while, you'll start to memorize this. And the tactile nature of it is exactly intended for that. Your brain actually really latches onto things when you touch things and feel things. It's a concept of school called Montessori, close to where I live, and a lot of this stems from the things that I've learned from what they teach at that school. Nonetheless, what we're going to do now is take a look at this poster. Let's see, what can we do with the dial that we can do on the poster? Because I told you we could get rid of this, right? So let's get rid of it. We've got 2 charts here. One, all the chords in the major key, and all the chords in the minor key. So do I need a giant chart to figure this out? Well, yeah, if you're going to use this circle of fifths, you do, because it's not apparent. It's not very obvious. But with a circle of fifths dial, it's easy. So let's just going to randomly pick a major key here, and that's going to be A major. So let's turn our dial to A major. So put the A underneath the uppercase Roman numeral 1. I'm going to use my stand as a little bit of a ruler here. Hopefully you can see that. There we go. So what it's saying is all All the chords in the major key of A major are the 2 chords of B minor, the 4 chords of D, the 5 chords in E major. So let's see if we can figure that on our dial. Let's test ourselves. I'm going to cover this up. And someone says to you, in the key of A major, we're going to play let's keep it really simple, a 1-4-5 chord progression. All I have to do is look, I've got my Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 4, and Roman numeral 5. So that's going to be A major, D major, and E major. Let's take a look at our chart and see if we got it right. So, cover that down there. Well, actually, probably that's not the best. So we've got A major as our 1, correct? We've got D major as our 4, so you can see that lines up with the 4. And then we've got E major as our 5. Perhaps this would be a bit easier to point with. So there, we got it right. Okay, let's pick a minor one. So again, something you can't use on the normal circle of fifths. They don't ever show the Nashville numbering system for minor. They don't even show it for major, really. So what you're going to do is we're going to pick a random key out of the minor, and we're looking at F sharp minor. Okay, let's put this as our ruler. Let's dial to F sharp minor. So if you remember, we've got to line up our, oh shoot, it's the same. Okay, we need a different one. Okay, E flat minor. Okay, weird, but it works for all of them. That's the beauty of it. So let's find E flat. I'm left-handed here, so let's do this. E flat. We had E flat lined up with the lower case or lower Roman numeral 1. Okay, so E flat minor. Now let's pick just a random chord progression. So let's say it's a 1, 3, 2, 4. So our 1 is E flat minor. Our 3 is going to be, our 3 is going to be G flat major. What did I say? 1, 3, 2. And then our 2 is going to be an E sharp diminished. And then 4 is A flat minor. Okay, so let's see how we did. That's kind of crazy. So I think I picked a 1, and then of course the 1 is the E flat, so we got that right. We've got 1, and then I think I said 3. So 3 is G flat. Yep, G flat major. And does it say major? Yeah, it does. And then I think I said 2 after that. So that was F diminished, right? An F diminished. And I think I said 4, which was A flat minor, because we're lowercase Roman numerals, right? So the 4 is A flat minor. Perfect. Okay. So everything we can do in this giant chart, we can do here. And we don't have to think, it's all laid out for us. Okay, what's next? Chord names and formulas. Okay, let's go back to the key of C. That's getting crazy with all those sharps. So, in order to build a chord, the first thing you need to do is understand that chords are built on intervals. Those intervals for the major chord is the 1, the 3, and the 5 of the scale, of the major scale. Okay? So let's not overcomplicate it. Let's see if we can build a chord using our circle of fifths and just this chord formula. Now notice that I've changed the R to a 1. I prefer the 1 instead of the R for root. It means the same. Now also notice that for all of these chord formulas, the most popular chords that are created, almost all of them except for the sus, it's a root 3-5, root 3-5, root 3-5. Well, okay, minors are a root flat 3, but it's still a root 3-5. It's pretty easy to remember. Root 3-5, root 3-5. Okay, so let's just start with an easy one. What are the notes that create a C major chord? Well, it'll be the 1, the 3, and the 5. Well, can we use the circle of fifths style? Of course we can. So we want a major chord. So we're going to turn whatever chord letter. Let's pick G. Let's go with C. It's so easy. And everybody knows C. So we'll put the C underneath the major, the 1. So we just need to find the 1, the 3, and the 5. So C, E, and G. Put those 3 notes together and you've made a C chord. C, E, and G. Easy, right? Okay. So if you wanted to do, let's say, now the next one down, the major 6. Well, it's the root 3-5 plus a 6. Well, that should be pretty easy. We've got a 1, the 3, a 5, and now we need a 6. There's an A. So it's C, E, G, and A. Put those 4 notes together and you have a major 6 chord. You can guess what you would do with the 7. And now when it comes to the 9, in order for me to explain that properly, you really should watch my other video on the major scale and how it repeats itself to get to 9. So I'm not going to bother going there, but it's super easy. All right, so now you're saying, what about the minors? What about the minor chords? How do we build those? Well, there's 2 ways to build a minor chord with a circle of fifths, or with any device. You're going to take the root, the third, and the fifth just the same, except you're going to flatten the third. And that flattening of the third is what gives the minor chord that minor tone. So let's do it without turning the dial first. So we've got the C, the E, and the G. So I said to flatten the third. So we're just going to go with a C, an E flat, and a G. If you put those 3 notes together, you've got a C minor chord. Perfect. That's pretty easy. Now let's do it by turning the dial. We should also be able to turn the dial so that C lines up with the minor, which is the lowercase Roman numeral 1. So now we're in the C minor key. So in the key of C minor, the C is a minor chord. So I shouldn't have to do anything except take my first, my third, and my fifth, and the dial should do everything for me. So my 1 is a C, my third is an E flat already for me. It's done. And the fifth is a G, just like it was last time. So C, E flat, and G. There's your minor chord, C minor chord. Okay, so I think we've covered almost everything on this page. Now we can get into dominant sevenths and sus2s, but these formulas are actually really easy to remember because the name of it is telling you what to do. So sus2, it means you're suspending the 2. So instead of a root 3, 5, you're just suspending, which means reducing that 3 down to a 2. It's easy. So chord names and formulas, a whole other lesson, I suppose. But for now, you can understand that this whole page now is garbage. What about chord progressions? I know I mentioned chord progressions here, so let's do what I hate doing. Let's unfold this ridiculous chart. So we just took care of this whole section with the fretboard, no, not with the fretboard escalator, but the circle of fifths dial. And now we have chord progressions. Okay, this is why I don't like posters. This is exactly why I built this thing. Okay, so popular chord progressions. Okay, before we jump into the chord progressions, I just want to remind you to please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. But even better, please go to the website linked below in the description and sign up for the Kickstarter. I want to bring these tools to market at an affordable price, and I really need your help to be able to do that. So enter in your email, and I promise I will not send you a single email of spam. I'm not going to tell you a bunch of tips and tricks and why you should play guitar at 2 in the morning or why you shouldn't play guitar when it's a full moon out. All I want to do is inform you of the advancements of these tools. All right, let's move on to the chord progressions. Okay, so we have our popular chord progressions here. Now, what you'll first notice is that they've written all these in upper Roman numerals. So these are all, or the majority of these, it looks like there is a lower one there, are going to be major chord progressions. There's tons more chord progressions than this out there, but this is a good sort of sampling. So how do you use the circle of fifths style with chord progressions? Well, it's quite easy. You just follow what they call out. So in this case, we've got, let's say, a 1, 5, 6, 4. So that's a major chord progression because the first one is an uppercase Roman numeral. So let's pick the key of D major. So in the key of D major, you would have a 1, 5, 6, 4. So our 1 is here, it would be a D major. Our 5 would be an A major. Our 6 is going to be a B minor. And our 4 is a G major. So you put those chords together and there's your chord progression. Now, the beauty of the Nashville numbering system is that you just rotate the dial, and now you don't have to, the progression is the same, but the chords in it are going to be different. So let's just pick something really kind of crazy and kooky. So let's say we're going to play a 1, 5, 6, 4 in a B flat major. So it's going to be B flat major, F major, G minor, E flat major. Yeah, sorry. Had a bit of a brain pause there. So there's your chord progression. It's quite easy. So one thing though you'll note on this circle of fifth dial, I just want to point out to you that if you're thinking, oh, you're bouncing all around, but it actually isn't bouncing around with these Roman numerals. It's a pretty standard or pretty easy pattern to follow. So if you want to find, if you've got the 1 here and you want to find the 2, you just skip 1. So it's 1, 2. Okay, they skipped 1, so 1, skip 1, 2, skip 1, 3, skip 1, 4, skip 1, 5, skip 1, 6. So it's really quite easy to find once you realize that. You don't have to be searching around anymore. And of course, it's the same for the minors. Just want to give you a little tip for when you're using it. So that takes care of all those chord progressions listed across that chart there. So that's another great way to use the circle of fifth style with your chord progressions. So I really hope that you can see now we can get rid of this, well, those pieces, but using the other tools I have, like the fretboard escalator and the chord and lead generator, you'll be able to get rid of this entire poster. But for now, we got rid of a bunch of it, and we'll see you next time for the next piece of equipment.